What if I told you that the vitamin D supplement sitting on your kitchen counter right now, the one you've been faithfully swallowing every single morning, the one your doctor recommended, the one you spent good money on, what if that supplement is doing absolutely nothing inside your body? What if, worse than doing nothing, it's actually quietly building up in the wrong places, hardening your arteries, disrupting your hormones, stealing your sleep, and leaving your bones just as fragile as the day you started taking it? What if millions of people around this world are walking around exhausted, depressed, weak, and sick, genuinely believing they're doing something healthy, while their vitamin D is literally being wasted, flushed out, or misdirected because nobody told them the only critical thing they were missing? What if the problem was never that you weren't taking enough vitamin D, but that you were taking it completely, fundamentally wrong? Stay with me until the very last second of this video, because what you're about to hear will permanently change the way you think about supplementation, and it might be the most important 3 minutes your health has ever received. What if everything you believed about vitamin D was built on a foundation of dangerous, comfortable lies that your body has been silently suffering from for years? You wake up tired, you drag yourself through the day, your bones ache in ways that feel older than your age, your mood crashes without warning, your immune system fails you every single season, and somewhere along the way, someone told you, a friend, a label, maybe even a healthcare professional, that you needed vitamin D. So you went to the store, you bought a bottle, you started taking it every day, and you waited for the miracle. But the miracle never came. And you told yourself, maybe the dose isn't high enough. Maybe I need more. So you took more. And still, nothing changed. Because here is the devastating truth that the supplement industry does not want printed on the front of that bottle. You are not absorbing the vitamin D you are taking, and the reason why is shockingly simple, entirely fixable, and something that could have been explained to you on day one. Vitamin D is not like your morning coffee. You cannot simply swallow it and expect it to go to work. Vitamin D is what scientists classify as a fat-soluble vitamin, which means, and this is critical, it requires the presence of dietary fat to be absorbed through the walls of your intestines and carried into your bloodstream. When you swallow that capsule on an empty stomach, or with a glass of plain water, or with a fat-free breakfast, your intestines look at that vitamin D the way a locked door looks at a key that doesn't fit. It simply doesn't open. The vitamin passes through your digestive system, exits your body, and you have essentially flushed money, opportunity, and your health directly down the drain. The fix is almost embarrassingly simple. Take your vitamin D with a meal that contains healthy fat, avocado, olive oil, eggs, nuts, full-fat yogurt, something that gives your body the tool it needs to actually use what you're giving it. But here's where it gets more complicated, more serious, and frankly, more alarming. Because fat is only the beginning of the story. There is a mineral working deep inside your body right now, or rather, failing to work. That determines whether your vitamin D ever becomes biologically active. That mineral is magnesium, and most people living on modern diets are chronically, quietly deficient in it. Here's what nobody explains to you. The vitamin D that enters your bloodstream is not yet usable. It exists in an inactive form called calcidiol, and your liver and kidneys must convert it through a series of enzymatic processes into calcitriol, the active hormone form that your cells can actually recognize and respond to. Every single one of those enzymatic conversion steps requires magnesium as a cofactor. Without sufficient magnesium, the conversion process stalls. The vitamin D sits in your blood, looking impressive on a lab test, while your cells remain completely starved of its benefits. This is why you can test with a normal vitamin D blood level and still experience every symptom of deficiency: fatigue, depression, weak immunity, bone pain. Because the number in your blood doesn't tell you whether that vitamin D is being activated and used. Magnesium is the silent operator that most people have never been told about, and its absence makes your entire vitamin D supplementation strategy collapse before it ever begins. Now we go deeper, because this is where the story stops being merely frustrating and starts becoming genuinely dangerous. When you take vitamin D, particularly in the higher doses that deficiency correction often requires, your body begins to significantly increase its absorption of calcium from the food you eat. More calcium enters your bloodstream. And here's the question that determines whether that calcium builds strong, healthy bones or quietly, invisibly begins destroying your cardiovascular system. Where does that calcium go? The answer to that question depends entirely on whether you have sufficient levels of a vitamin that almost no one talks about: vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 activates specific proteins in your body, most importantly, a protein called osteocalcin, which essentially acts as a biological traffic director, grabbing calcium molecules from your bloodstream and directing them precisely into your bone matrix where they belong. Without K2, that calcium has no direction. It circulates freely, and it deposits in your arterial walls, in your soft tissues, in your kidneys, contributing to arterial stiffness, calcification, and cardiovascular risk. You set out to fix your vitamin D deficiency and strengthen your bones, and instead you may be, completely unknowingly, accelerating arterial hardening. This is not a theory. This is documented, peer-reviewed, replicated science, and it means that vitamin D3 and vitamin K2 are not optional companions. They are a biological partnership that must never be separated. But we are still not finished, because there is another piece of this puzzle that strikes at something even more fundamental. The very organ system through which all of this absorption must occur. Your gut. The lining of your small intestine is where vitamin D absorption happens, and the health of that lining determines the efficiency of every nutrient you take. If you have chronic gut inflammation, if your intestinal lining is compromised, if you have poor bile production from a stressed liver, if your gut microbiome is imbalanced, and in the modern world, most people have at least one of these conditions, then your ability to absorb fat-soluble vitamins, including vitamin D, is severely and measurably compromised. You can take the perfect dose with the perfect fat alongside magnesium and K2 at the perfect time of day and still absorb a fraction of what you need because your gut is sending it through a broken filter. Healing your gut is not separate from solving your vitamin D problem. It is fundamentally connected to it, and ignoring gut health while obsessing over supplement dosage is like trying to fill a bucket with holes in the bottom. And then there is the question of timing. Simple, overlooked, and surprisingly consequential. Vitamin D is not just a vitamin in the traditional sense. It behaves like a hormone, and like all hormones, it participates in your body's rhythmic daily cycles. Research has shown that taking vitamin D in the evening can interfere with your body's natural production of melatonin, the hormone that governs your sleep quality and your circadian rhythm. People who take vitamin D at night frequently report difficulty falling asleep, lighter sleep, more frequent waking, and reduced sleep quality. And they never connect these symptoms to that capsule they swallow before bed. Morning is the physiologically appropriate time for vitamin D, mirroring the natural timing of sunlight exposure, which is, and always has been, the body's primary and original source of this essential compound. Finally, we must speak about testing, because taking vitamin D without knowing your baseline blood levels is a practice that ranges from wasteful to genuinely dangerous. Vitamin D toxicity. Hypervitaminosis D is a real medical condition that causes nausea, weakness, frequent urination, kidney damage, and dangerous calcium dysregulation. It occurs when people supplement aggressively without monitoring their levels. Equally, underdosing. Taking the standard 400 to 800 IU when your body requires 4,000 or more to correct a significant deficiency means spending months and years supplementing while making no meaningful progress. A simple blood test measuring your 25-hydroxyvitamin D levels costs very little, provides essential information, allows precise dosing, and transforms your supplementation from blind guessing into intelligent, targeted correction. Without this number, you are navigating in complete darkness. The solution is not complicated, but it must be complete. Take your vitamin D3 in the morning. Take it with a fat-containing meal. Ensure your magnesium intake is adequate, through food, through supplementation, through both. Pair your D3 with K2, the MK7 form being the most bioavailable and effective. Address your gut health. And test your blood levels so you know exactly where you stand and exactly how far you need to travel. Every one of these steps matters. Skipping one collapses the entire chain. Your body is not broken. It is not failing you. It has simply been given an incomplete set of instructions. And today, right now, those instructions become complete. What started as a simple bottle of vitamin D on your kitchen shelf has revealed itself to be a far more complex, interconnected, and consequential conversation about how your body actually works. The message of everything shared here today is not that vitamin D supplementation is ineffective. It is one of the most powerful, wide-reaching nutrients your body depends upon. The message is that effectiveness demands correctness. Fat for absorption, magnesium for activation, K2 for direction, a healthy gut for delivery, morning timing for hormonal harmony. and testing for precision. When all of these elements align, vitamin D stops being a supplement you take out of habit and becomes a genuine, measurable, life-changing intervention for your energy, your immunity, your mental health, your bones, and your longevity. You now know what most people will never know. Use it. Thank you, genuinely, deeply, from the bottom of this entire conversation, for giving your time and attention to something that truly matters, your health. That choice, the choice to learn, to question, to go beyond the label on the bottle, is the choice that separates people who struggle in confusion from people who thrive with clarity. Take this knowledge and act on it. Share it with someone you love. Because sometimes the most powerful thing one person can do is hand another person the exact piece of information that changes everything for them. Good luck on your health journey. You are already doing better than you think. And with what you now know, you are about to do so much better still. Take care of yourself. You deserve to feel extraordinary. What started as a simple bottle of vitamin D on your kitchen shelf has revealed itself to be a far more complex, interconnected, and consequential conversation about how your body actually works. The message of everything shared here today is not that vitamin D supplementation is ineffective. It is one of the most powerful, wide-reaching nutrients your body depends upon. The message is that effectiveness demands correctness. Fat for absorption, magnesium for activation, K2 for direction, a healthy gut for delivery, morning timing for hormonal harmony, and testing for precision. When all of these elements align, vitamin D stops being a supplement you take out of habit and becomes a genuine, measurable, life-changing intervention for your energy, your immunity, your mental health, your bones, and your longevity. You now know what most people will never know. Use it.